Using Logic Trace 2022, I'm going to trace out a graphic for a tote bag. This first video I touched the four corners of the diagram. This defines a workspace and gives me a good sized display. I use the various tracing selections. Right now I've selected to curve. You can see here where I mark my starting spot with a red pencil. When you're tracing, it's very easy to switch from line to trace to curve to arc. It's just a matter of making those button selections. Just a quick note here about this font. Now, possibly I could have found this font on the computer, but I couldn't. So I decided just to print it full size and trace it out. It was easier to do this than keep looking on the computer for a font that I could probably never find. While I'm doing the tracing, I thought I would put a plug in for the new Logic Trace 2022. The program has been rewritten utilizing new technology and works well with all computers, including the Apple Mac and the PC. It creates an easy trace and accurate. The program has two windows, the control window on the left and the display window on the right. The control window has easy to use buttons where you can switch from tracing to lines to arcs and curves. The display window has improved resolution and an added zoom feature. Under the Options and Setup buttons, you can configure the program to suit your needs. I find the program easy to use and fast, and has the ability that you can save what you've created in different formats like DXF, like PolyDXF, PDF, or SVG. It has a unique feature that you can move the control window to a smaller device. For instance, you could move that control window to a cell phone or to an iPad. And what's good about that is you can have those items close to where you're tracing and make your selections. Very simple. What you're doing here is you're just extending the display to another device. Also, when you save your file, your DXF file that you've created, it also creates a second file, a TLG file. That file you can reload if you want to take a break from tracing. You could reload that file and just continue on tracing from where you left off. And speaking of saving files, that's the one thing I do. I save my file frequently. I find it really neat that you can switch your tracing techniques. You can select trace, line, arc, or curve just by clicking on those buttons. I'm getting finished with this top part of the diagram, the oh hello, so I'm going to save this file as a DXF file. Now I'm going to start tracing out the sun array. First thing I'll do here is define the four corners, and I'll just touch each one of the corners on the diagram. This is going to be an interesting part of the tracing because it's all straight lines, so I'll be using the line command. This became fast and easy to trace these out, just using that one command. One thing different here is the file I create is going to have to go into CorelDRAW and become an AI format because the vinyl printer requires an AI format to start the vinyl printing process. Which is going to work out fine because when I create the file here, that file is going to be DXF. And I'll just load the DXF file into CorelDRAW and convert it to AI. You can see here now I'm starting to trace out the internal part. Same thing using the line command, and it's fast. Now that I'm getting finished tracing out all those straight lines, the next thing now is to trace out those circles. The circle command is really easy and neat. You just touch 3 spots on the circle on the diagram, correct the diameter, and carry on to the next one. Again, this part of the tracing was fast and accurate. Now I'm going to be tracing out those small circles within the circle, and these small circles are going to be 0.375 diameter. So it just goes to show you that the circle command is fast, because once you select the circle command, you use that one command for all the circles on the diagram. And it's really neat that you've got that control that you can change the diameter. So this is how I kept the diameter perfectly equal to all the circles, just by inputting the 0.375 on the inner circle. So I'm finishing up here with the tracing of the sun array, and I'm going to save that file. Now I'm going to load the Oh Hello font into Aspire 11.0, and I'm also going to load the sun array in Aspire 11.0. I'm going to put these together the way I'd like to see them. Then I'm going to run it through the Vectric Aspire simulator just to see how the two of them look together. Now I'm going to load that file into CorelDRAW, where I'll put some color on it, create a boundary around the graphics, which will enable the vinyl printer to print it and cut these graphics out. It's a contour line. The file from CorelDRAW is now loaded into VersaWorks. Here the printer will print that graphic and cut it out. The vinyl is 20 inches wide, so I always do a couple of prints side by side just to save on wasting the vinyl. Shown here, you can see the vinyl being pulled back into the printer. Now the printer will cut each one of those graphics out. The image is removed and weeded. This is the heat transfer that I'm going to use. Shown here, the graphic has been applied to the palette of the heat transfer. We're ready to go. Well, this is the finished product. Looks good. That's a good looking tote bag.